G'day there guys, look at all these chickens. It's Markee here and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, a like on the video, and tell me what you think of it down in the comments. Posted by user Poppy and Clementine. Titled, Am I the a-hole for giving my boyfriend the silent treatment after he won't drive me to my cancer appointments? Long story short is that I, 23 female, suffered a seizure and was diagnosed with brain cancer because of an orange-sized tumor that I had. I recently got the tumor taken out, and due to the seizure that I had, I won't be able to drive for a while, so I don't have any way to get to my appointments or go to the grocery store, etc. without taking public transportation and Uber. And after chemotherapy, that's not the best option, especially with the pandemic. And having cancer, my immune system is even worse than normal. Now, here is the problem. I asked my boyfriend, 24 male, who has been unemployed for the last couple of years. His parents pay for everything, and he lives with them about 2 hours from where I live because I moved for college, if he could move in with me for 3 months to help me with driving, etc. He wouldn't be paying for anything because I have rent paid for the next few months in my apartment, and he lives with his parents, so he wouldn't have to make a huge move over or anything, just bring enough clothes and necessities, and maybe some food. But I have most of that covered too. I didn't think this was a huge ask, since I lived with him and his family for 3 months for other reasons at the beginning of the year. But he got really upset, saying he can't leave his family during the pandemic, even though his whole family is together and they all have each other, and I'm completely alone in another city with no support system. I got upset at his response and cried a lot and told him I felt like he didn't care about me because he always puts his family ahead of me and I really need him now. And if he's going to be that way, I'm not sure if I want to be with him. I also did put him down and said he has no backbone, and now I haven't talked to him for a day because of it, and I'm not sure if I should apologize and say that it's okay that he won't drive me, if I have to apologize for anything, or if I'm justified for being upset with him. I honestly think you're justified for being upset with him here. He's intentionally not coming over and helping you out when he absolutely has no reason not to. You're going to cover everything for him, just like his family covers everything for him back home. It doesn't sound like he's doing anything for his family back home, so you're not removing him from any responsibilities that he has, and he's coming to live with you, his girlfriend, who's alone, that he's supposed to be caring for. His family won't view him as an a-hole for doing that. In fact, he'd be more of a saint for getting off his ass and doing something, and stopping you from getting the corona when you have had cancer and have chemotherapy going on. He has some serious priority issues if he turns this down continuously, and yeah, giving your boyfriend the silent treatment, I would do the same. I would give him such a long silent treatment that he wouldn't even be in my life anymore. Pretty heartless for him to do. Not the a-hole. Are you sure you want to be with a man who wants you to remain alone in a city and take yourself to and from chemotherapy appointments while he hangs out with his family having a good time? This does not sound like a man you should remain in a relationship with, and even if you stayed with him, I'm not sure if you would ever really get over how he left you alone to deal with cancer when he had nothing truly stopping him from being there. I would have to go with not the a-hole in my opinion. Your response wasn't that harsh, and priorities have to be discussed at some point, and he showed you his. Thank you for your opinions. I love him a lot, and I think to his core, he's a good person. But I agree with you that it's important for me to think about what I need and what I want from a relationship, and the same on his end. I do regret saying the mean things that I said, so I wish I could take that back. I also agree that I might hold a grudge deep down, or maybe some resentment from this, and that worries me about the future of our relationship. He's not a good person. What good is his core if the outside is useless? Not the a-hole. I've dated guys like this, and unfortunately, it's better to know now. Everything is well and good when it has to do with him and his family, but your problems are irrelevant or less than. I've also dated someone like this. She was a really great person, except for the way she valued her parents and siblings to the detriment of her relationship. I'm in favor of being close with family, but at some point you have to cut the umbilical cord and make at least a little space in your life for your supposed significant other. Not the a-hole. A good partner would be bending over backwards to help and support you after receiving a diagnosis like this. It sounds like this isn't the first time he's let you down and giving you the care and attention you need. And I also see from your post history that he totally ignored your last birthday. He sounds quite selfish, and now he's shown that he won't be there for you when you need him most. Thank you. And yeah, I came to this thread before because most of my friends are also friends with him, and I don't want to make his friends think of him badly, so it's easier to talk to strangers for advice. I think he doesn't see it as selfish because he's using his family as an excuse, but I also think it comes from a lack of maturity and experience. We are very different when it comes to independence, as I have been on my own since 18, which isn't his fault, and I'm happy he has a family who loves and supports both of us, but I also want him to support me too. Update: am I the a-hole for not speaking to my boyfriend after he won't drive me to my cancer appointments? Hello, I'm writing an update to the post I made several weeks ago. I ended up giving up my job because I wasn't able to come in anymore and moved back to my parents' house. I gave up my apartment and basically all of my autonomy because my recovery process is definitely going a lot slower than I wanted or intended, and my savings ran out. I wish I had a better update and that I was happier and feeling better. My parents take me to my appointments that happen every couple of weeks, but they live 4 hours from my hospital, so I have to make that trip every week with them to get my treatment. I'm constantly nauseous because of all the medicine I'm taking, and mentally clouded because of my anti-seizure drugs. I talked to my boyfriend after posting, and he did admit that seeing me in pain and as sick as I am is really scary for him, and that was a large part of the reason that he did not want to move in with me during this time. I understand, and I can see how terrible it would be to see your partner in this way, so I understand. I'm still with my boyfriend, but our relationship is strained, and I'm not sure what the future holds. I have not seen him in person since June, when he first visited me after my surgery for a couple days, but he plans to come see me soon again at my parents' house. He does feel badly about me losing my apartment, and he did show me he is trying to start a freelance business to make money so that he can help me move back out and hopefully into a place with him, but I'm not quite sure if that will happen anytime soon. Physically, I'm starting to do better, and if everything goes well, I will finish my radiation in September, and hopefully my scans come up with no regrowth. I will have to get MRI scans for the next 5 years, every 3 to 6 months to monitor my brain, and then annually after 5 years, until my doctors believe I am in total remission, and hopefully eventually cured. Thank you again everyone who reached out and gave advice before. Edit: I appreciate the responses and everyone's advice and opinions they have given. I posted here and I value every judgment, but please remember I am a human being and I wanted to give an update despite it not being a popular outcome from my decisions. I take full responsibility for that, and I feel badly that some of you are genuinely upset that I did not take the advice given to me, and for that I am sorry. I'm so happy to hear that you're on the road to recovery and that you have your parents as a support system right now. It speaks volumes about your boyfriend's character that he didn't step up for this. It makes me worry if you continue and eventually get married. What if you got sick again? What if you have kids and they get sick? Is he going to check out again? Don't put any extra stress on yourself right now. You need to focus on you and your health. But when you are feeling better and have the energy, both physical and mental, I hope you will seriously consider how a person like that isn't reliable. You deserve so much better. Posted by user Symphony of Music, titled, Am I the a-hole for sleeping top naked in my bedroom? My 18 female mum and I live in a crummy apartment complex in NYC. Our apartment itself isn't crummy. We've taken a lot of pride in making the inside of our apartment look nicer than it really is, but truth be told, the building is crummy. So much so that the radiator in my room is broken, and I get heat every day of the year, even in summer. I prefer not to open my windows during summer as well, because all types of questionable creepy crawlies like to come through the window, so I usually sleep on the top of the covers or without pants. Last night it was too hot, so I slept without a shirt or bra. I have pretty huge boobs. It's no secret, but I was in the comfort of my bedroom and I keep my door closed when I sleep. This morning, I woke up to find my mum staring at me. She scared me crapless, especially because I have a loft bed and was making direct eye contact with her as soon as I opened my eyes. She stood there and screamed at me for 20 minutes, telling me to put a shirt on and calling me a ruthless tramp for sleeping without a shirt while her boyfriend was here. I put a pillow in front of my body and closed my eyes to go back to sleep. This wasn't good enough, and she ripped the pillow from my arms and told me to put on some clothes before her boyfriend came in here and saw me like this. I told her I keep my door closed for a reason, and if she's worried about her boyfriend bothering me, that's more telling of her boyfriend, not me. She was absolutely seething and told me I'm to live under her rules while I'm in her house, and that includes not being trashy and sleeping with some clothes on. I figured she was being ridiculous, but her boyfriend heard the commotion and ended up coming into the room to get her, without knocking mind you, and left me flailing to find a sheet to cover with. He was kind of eyeing me and told me my mum was right and I need to sleep with clothes on. I'm having a hard time understanding. Am I really an a-hole here? Edit, no, I can't lock my door. She won't allow me to replace the doorknob with one that comes with a lock. And for those calling this fake, saying I'd die under the conditions that I'm describing and to just get windows and screens, that doesn't help when the heat outside is so thick and gross. It's just extra hot air. Not to mention unpredictable rainstorms that I have to constantly close the window for anyway. Additionally, I have a phobia of bugs, and the screens don't seem to stop cockroaches and spiders. Thank you everyone for messaging me with helpful tips. It's hard to respond to everyone, but I see and appreciate your help. I'll be purchasing a doorstop soon, as well as finding time to discuss with my mum what her blow-up was about. We have a pretty decent relationship outside of this, which is why this shocked me and had me confused as to whether I was wrong or not. What is it with parents and not letting kids have privacy in their own room? You just open up insecurities for that kid knowing that they can't be secure in their own house, in the household that you provide them. And I'm pretty sure no one wants people just barging in on them whenever they're doing their own thing in their room, regardless of if you're doing a compromising thing like sleeping without your shirt on or not. I honestly think the mum is the a-hole here. She's got something going on in that head of hers, because she shouldn't be so hard-lined against letting OP have her privacy. She doesn't need a shirt, no one else is looking in there unless you go searching for it. And the fact that they have a decent relationship outside of this raises some warning flags maybe? If she's normal in every other interaction and conversation outside of this, but she's hardline against you sleeping without a shirt on, does that not strike you as weird? What insecurity is this hitting that a normal person is so hardline against this, and then has her boyfriend enabling it? Just raises a lot of questions for me, that's all. So, not the a-hole. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your room. She and her boyfriend should stay out of it. If she's that worried about him being in your room, maybe the real issue is that she's dating someone she doesn't trust, or who might be a creep. Bloody this. If someone told me to wear a shirt in my room when the door was closed so that their boyfriend didn't see me without it, I'd have a few things to say, and none of them would be pleasant. Yeah, like, I get that if they're topless in a common area and they don't want the sister's boyfriend to see them, that's pretty reasonable. But in your room with the door closed? Really, who asks that? Not the a-hole. Neither your mother or her boyfriend have any business busting into your room without permission, end of story. Right? People minding their own business would fix this. Alternatively, if they can't be bothered to do that, a lock would fix it as well. To be honest, I'd want one on my door after this if someone was worried that their boyfriend was going to wander into my room, because I'd feel so uncomfortable. Not the a-hole. Honestly, your mum sounds horrible, and I'm worried that your living situation might be dangerous given the boyfriend. As an adult, it might be better for you to look for your own place or to perhaps move in with a trusted friend. That was my thought too, that likely if your mum is saying it's an issue because of her boyfriend, that means she believes the boyfriend is liable to do something and is projecting the blame onto you so that if something happens, she won't have to deal with him. Update. Am I the a-hole for sleeping top naked in my bedroom? Hi everyone. I wanted to give an update on the situation since a lot of people were really concerned for me. After the whole debacle, I did purchase a wedge for under my door from Walmart. It worked, and I didn't have any more issues with waking up to people in my face. I used the excuse that it was to keep our cat from opening my door at night, and my mum seemed fine with that. While E was here, and even after he was gone, my mum seemed detached and sort of out of it. I asked if everything was okay, and she said she needed to sort out some feelings first, but she'd promised we'd talk when she was better. I said okay and left it at that. Couple days later, E came back for another weekend stay. The day after he came, they had an at-home date night with drinks and fancy takeouts, and that night, I woke up to my door being messed with. I call out to see if it's my mum, and I got no response. I pulled on a t-shirt and shorts and pull the door wedge to check, and E is standing at my door. He was drunk, and I was a bit panicked because I thought something had happened to my mum and he needed help. But he just stood there for a few seconds without saying anything. He didn't seem to be sleepwalking or in peril, so I said, "I'm uncomfortable. I'm closing the door." Before I could close the door all the way, my mum flew out of her room, saw him, and started cussing and screaming and telling him he needed to leave. They argued back and forth for a while, but eventually she got him out the door. After calming her down, I took her to her room and we had a talk. It turns out, the day she had come into my room, she had been on his phone and saw that he was talking to his brother-in-law about me in very disgusting ways, talking about how I was growing up to be very shapely and mature, and that he couldn't wait until I moved out so he could dump my mother for me. He said far more explicit things that were all extremely worrying, especially since we've known him since I was 11. My mum had came to tell me to be careful around him, while she thought of a way to break it off safely. But when she saw my state, she had some misplaced anger. He's out of our lives now, thankfully. I want to say thanks to everyone for all the suggestions and recommendations, and even those who suggested my mum could be abusive. I plan to talk to her about her other ideals and behaviors soon. Sarcastic thanks and genuinely big FUs to those who sent me crude messages. I'm just glad the situation is over. The moderators of the subreddit closed the comments before anyone could comment on this one, and I'm glad they did because it's not really something that I want to comment on all too much. I am very glad that OP is safe from that man. That's never a situation that anyone should be in, and if you ever feel like someone is in that situation, definitely reach out to them, definitely get them some help. I would feel so uncomfortable and I'd be physically shaking with anxiety and fear if I was in the same spot as OP. The mum had obvious misplaced anger there, but she also had misplaced priorities. Why the hell would you let that man back into your room and your apartment around your daughter after he's been there since she was 11 and you have compromising evidence that he's going to do messed up things? Dear Lord. Obviously, I'm no arbiter of morality, of what you're supposed to do in these situations, but letting him back in seems like the last thing you'd want to do. Screenshots and photos of those conversations, and police would be my first route to go. Oh my god. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enabled me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.